What's up, guys? So today's video is going to be talking about different block setups you can go for with Steve. I'm going to keep this video very basic with the block setups. I may make a part 2 with more intricate block setups, but I want to get like what I think are the core things you have to do with blocks in neutral with Steve. So let's get right into it. So this is the most basic thing you do with Steve in neutral, and it's no surprise extremely effective. It forces someone to jump over the block or punch through it somehow, or have a projectile get past it, which is pretty easy. Most characters have a good answer to that. But it still forces the opponent to play Steve's game plan, lest Steve, or Alex in this case, mines materials for free. And this is going to be the basis for almost everything you're going to be doing and we're going to be building off of. So get used to doing this a lot in neutral, just putting that block down and saying, hey, you dash attack my block, dash attack you. Or maybe I'll just grab you. Or maybe I'll jump over and fair you. Or maybe I'll throw a minecart at you. Like, whatever you want, really, you think is effective there. And then, you can also, with almost all of these kind of setups, set up TNT instead around this distance so it doesn't hit you and you can down smash it. Down smash is actually 4 frames faster than down tilt, so it's generally better to do this with. And yeah, the thing about putting out the TNT is it uses a lot of resources to put out the TNT. And it spends a lot more time, so you have less time to mine. And you have to mine more and make up for what you use here. So tend to use TNT when someone's approaching kill percents, where they really have to respect the move. And then you want to be tricky. Instead of putting TNT next to the block directly, put like here so they can't hit the TNT through the block easily. And if they want to jump over it, they have to cover a bit more space to get past the TNT safely. So yeah, this is generally just a really good and basic setup I go for quite a bit. And honestly, I just throw the TNT setup now where you put it away from the block, not next to it. So that's more theory craft, but in theory it should work very well. Now, let's go more advanced, right? So, what other steps you can do with the basic setup? Double block, like this. This is actually my favorite setup for all of them, I think. It covers most characters' full up heights, so they have to double jump over the blocks. Or they can jump between the blocks, but they're likely to get stuck either on the bottom block or getting their head thumped from the top block. So, like, that's not good, generally. If they have a projectile that can go through blocks, then it's not particularly good versus that kind of stuff. But versus characters don't have projectiles that threaten you between the blocks, this is a phenomenal setup. Think of, like, a sword character like Lucina, which is a hard matchup, but still works. And then, of course, you set up TNT to the same effect. And then, on this, you get even more advanced and do something like this. And the thing about this is, the more time you spend making blocks, the longer you're burning the first block's like timer, which stops grounded approaches, and the more resources you're burning. However, this is making jumping in a lot harder, and when you do something like this, it is stopping people throwing like bombs over the blocks, which should be useful in a second. So yeah, that's a really good setup, and you can find yourself doing like that one block space third block variation a lot. You might ask, hey, why not do this? 1, 2, 3. Boom, boom, boom. I find it kind of hard to get that, to be honest, so maybe it's just me, but it also takes more time setting this up, and once again, the more time you spend setting up blocks, the less time that first block will last for you, and the more resources you're burning, and the less time you have to get resources, essentially. So you want to optimize how long you spend setting up blocks. Like, you can do this. You can do like all the stuff you want, but like, I just burned 8 blocks of resource. I now have to remine in order to make up for this. I'll keep in mind, by the way, with blocks, random fact. If you mine next to a block, it will do this and get rid of the block quickly. But if you turn around, you won't actually mine that block. So doing this, or just make sure to walk back, of course, is very important to not get ready on block walls. Yeah, so key step. Another one is this. Oops, I messed it up. A little bit faster because you're not waiting for the apex of your double jump to get the block height out. And this is good versus projectiles because you can't go between these, like, right? Pretty simple. It's generally just worse for stopping approaches, but because you're spending less time building, it's less vulnerable time, and it stops projectiles that can go through the blocks, which is nice. Or, like, through the one no block one setup. And now a variation of this, which is generally better, is not that. Oh, that can be pretty good. Is this. What's nice about this is some projectiles hit both blocks, like Wolf Laser. It doesn't allow that to happen. It stops bombs because of the positioning of it. You can like throw bombs over this still, but it's a lot harder. And it still makes it a little bit harder to jump over this. So that's pretty nice. And I think this is generally just a better version of setting up 2 blocks straight. It's just a little bit harder to execute, but it doesn't really spend much more time any at all. So this is a really nice setup. You can always, once again, go for something like... Messed it up. I really stink at doing this. It takes a lot of practice, this character's block stuff, not gonna lie. You can always go for like this instead. You know, just spending more resources and more time, but same idea as when you do like the higher up block setup. And now, another very good setup is just doing this. Specifically 3. The reason you do this is for characters like, say, Shulk, who can dash attack through multiple blocks at once, or really any sortie, who can hit like 2 blocks at once and hit past the first block. Because that way, even if they like rush you down with their options, they got more blocks to deal with, which is really obnoxious. Like, you don't want to deal with multiple blocks if you're the opponent. Especially if like you rely on just punching through a block and chasing the opponent down. This is really annoying. Honestly, as a setup, I should probably use more when I play Steve. Because it's just so phenomenal. Like, they still have to jump over from multiple distances. Projectiles still beat this, obviously. But now they can't just rush you down on the ground. So versus characters that can do that safely, like, say a character, I don't know, like Ganondorf, right? Who can punch through blocks really quickly. And, like, actually have pretty low end lag to punish rather than use, like, scary hitboxes. They're not going to be able to get to you immediately by just doing, like, run up jab and then dash attack you. So, yeah, really good. And then, because of that, it ends up being a really good place to put TNT as well. Because if you do like this, for example, put TNT down here, since they can't punch through the blocks easily, it's hard to hit the TNT and pressure you with your own TNT, which tends to be an issue otherwise with setting up TNT. So this is really effective. And yeah, those are like the basic block formations I found in neutral that are really, really, really useful for just playing the character. And I guess I should give some other tricks with these blocks. When you do this, you can minecart from here. And it's a pretty good way to apply some pressure, is doing like double blocking the minecart. Really just doing minecarts after putting up blocks is really good. It makes people up. And a cool thing you can do is... Oh, I did that wrong, wow. I know I can get that high, wow. Huh. I found something new. You can do this and you can minecart through this if you time it right. I clearly did not. There we go. Close enough. So that's really good. Another type you can go for, which I don't think is particularly useful, but you can do it, is setting up this middle block here, and then putting a minecart here to stop grounded approaches. The reason I don't like this is because you're burning iron, which is like your most valuable resource. If you have a lot of iron to work with, this is actually really good. But you need a lot of iron to work with, otherwise you're definitely wasting quite an important resource. And if you mess up, you hit like the block there, obviously it's not good. You want that block still in place to stop jumpings. So you can't force people to jump at you because of the block here and the minecart coming at them. So that's really good. And also another type you can go for, it's really nice, is when you have a block like this. I like down to a lot on blocks like this because I like canceling the end lag and getting combos off of this, including at kill sense. Like, watch this. Diamond, good. So I find myself doing this a lot. And I'll be here, and then instead of going off the block, if someone runs at me and like does whatever, I do this. Because my down tilt leg gets cancelled but the animation goes through, you get guaranteed combos like this. Huh, didn't kill, I'm surprised. Yeah, it's really good, it does a lot of damage. At low percents you can do like down tilt in the fair, spike them into like jab, jump like fair, and get a lot of damage off that. And I'll find myself in neutral, honestly, just doing this sometimes, like throwing up blocks randomly, and looking to do like this off one of the blocks when someone's not ready for it. Oh hey, like that block stopped it. This character's funny. Just make sure to give the block a bit of time to break, otherwise it will end like the down tilt will end before the block breaks, and you'll get that lag cancel. And the thing about the down tilt is it moves pretty laggy. It has like a long animation, so it's pretty easy with punish, throw projectiles at. It also is not particularly good like this. I think it's better off when using it in the air, because otherwise it doesn't hit that high. And ultimately everyone just mashes aerials. Yeah, it doesn't really work out too well. Another fun setup you can do that's similar to the down tilt is using down air to break blocks and punch through them. Like this. And kind of put this pressure on people from above where they're not ready for it. They're like, oh, it's a block above me, I'm safe. And then suddenly, and then they're like, oh shoot! I wasn't ready for this. And also the anvil can't be broken and it stops people's movement. So you can use it kind of like a very short duration single block in the ground. Except they can't punch through it ever, which is really nice. That's another good block setup. Oh, another one I like that's a bit trickier is doing this. And you do this because now when you're like here, people can't really jump above you, obviously. And a lot of characters, unless they have really good airspeed, can't quite jump past the block. So they end up being forced to either approach by attacking the block in front or jumping between the blocks, which heavily limits their approach angles. And this is a bit more of a gimmicky setup. I'm not sure it's actually too good once people got used to it, but might have some validity as a setup. And yeah, I think it's better if all the block setups I've been using were theory crafting in neutral. And I'll probably make a part 2 talking more about like intricate setups and just new setups I find in the next like week or so, I guess. And yeah, I hope this was a pretty useful video for you guys trying to learn Steve, Alex, Zombie, Enderman, whoever you're playing. I think they're all cool. And with that said, guys, peace out.